if you've been in therapy or you've just been doing some research on what's out there in the healing world coming out of a toxic relationship, you've probably come upon the term EMDR, which stands for Eye Movement Desensitization Therapy. EMDR is a therapy that is supposed to help people heal from trauma, to alleviate the difficult memories that they're experiencing and some of the discomfort from those memories. It's considered to be the gold standard by many people when it comes to trauma therapy. It's an evidence-based treatment modality, which means they've done a lot of studies, they have research that proves that this therapy has been helpful for many people in recovering from traumatic experiences, including toxic relationships. I've also heard anecdotally that it's been really helpful for a lot of people, which I am thrilled about because anything that helps people recover from trauma is a win in my book. But that wasn't the case for me. So today I'm going to share my experience with EMDR, what happened, did it work, did it not, and then I'm going to share with you what actually did help me instead of EMDR. So spoiler alert, EMDR actually didn't work for me. So about 8 years ago, I was in therapy. I was still in a toxic relationship at that point, and I hadn't realized that the relationship was toxic or unhealthy for me. That could be a whole other video. I wish that the therapist that I was working with at that time were able to help me uncover it, but it didn't happen then. So really, I was just trying to heal. I was trying to heal from a chronic illness, and I was trying to heal from everything in my past that had gotten me to the point in my life where I was really just miserable. I was on a full-out healing journey, and I was really willing to do whatever it took to get me to the place where I would feel better. This was after years of being on antidepressants that worked all right for a time, but then eventually stopped working. And so I wanted to get off of those. And at this point that I'm talking about when I was in therapy, I had gotten off of those. I was looking to heal the root cause of a lot of the issues that I was dealing with, including some of the emotional things that were contributing to the chronic illness that I had experienced. Basically, I wanted to get to the source. I didn't want to keep putting a Band-Aid on it by taking antidepressants. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they just weren't working for me at this point. So I wanted to get to the source. I was willing to go really deep and do some transformational healing. So in the course of my therapy, my therapist and I discovered that I had a bunch of different traumatic experiences in my past. And at the time, she recommended that I try EMDR. It was newer at the time. It wasn't as well known as it is today, but she said, hey, this is a great modality. It's known to help people with trauma. Let's give it a shot. So she actually recommended that I find another therapist in addition to working with her who specialized in this EMDR. So I started seeing the specialist in EMDR, and then at a later point, I actually worked with both of them together. They were doing joint sessions where one of them would do the EMDR and the other therapist would just do some talking therapy. And then later on, I actually did retreats with the two of these therapists together. So we did a lot of deep work with this EMDR. And I should state that the type of EMDR I was receiving, it was not the kind where they do this in front of your eyes and your eyes move. I couldn't handle that because the chronic illness that I was experiencing was actually dizziness. And so doing that made me very dizzy and it wasn't helpful. So I used a bilateral stimulation machine. So the therapist would hand me this device and I would either hold it or I would put it under my legs, and the stimulation would be bilateral, meaning it would go from one side to the next, and that was the EMDR method that I used. So I really gave EMDR a good shot. I believe that I did it for almost a year and a half, maybe more, with these different therapists. And I did experience some subtle shifts. I did feel a little bit better, but I really felt like this modality, it just wasn't cutting it for me. It felt like we still hadn't gotten to the root source of the traumatic experiences that I had been through. I didn't feel that big, like weight had lifted off of me. I didn't feel that much relief. And so I was really disappointed by this modality. I really didn't feel like much had changed. I still felt stuck. In the therapy, we were going back to the traumatic experiences, but for whatever reason, I wasn't able to access the deep emotions around those traumas. And so we would do the EMDR, but again, I wouldn't feel like much had changed. It wouldn't feel like it was a lot better at all. It was really just staying the same. And so by that point, I really felt like I was irreparably broken. Like I was saying to myself at the time, like, wow, even this gold standard therapy is not working for me. So there must really be something wrong with me. And it actually made me feel worse. I felt even more hopeless, and I felt like I'm just gonna have to accept that this is how I'm going to feel forever. And it was a really, really difficult time. So I share this not to throw EMDR under the bus, because I know that it's worked for many people. And for that, I'm so thrilled. I share this so that you know that if it hasn't worked for you, or you're currently trying it and it's not working for you, there is still hope out there for healing. You are not irreparably broken. Not all modalities work for every single person, and this is a big lesson that I've learned in my healing journey. One size does not fit all. For whatever reason, EMDR just didn't do it for me. But I did eventually find something that did. So back to my story. So while I was doing this EMDR, I was still doing it. Again, I was doing it for a long time, like almost 2 years. I was introduced to energy healing. It's actually the modality that I use now with my clients. Someone introduced me to this very powerful energy healing modality. And at that time, I had actually tried different energy healings. I had done Reiki. I had done just individual practitioners. They had their own way of doing energy healing. I had done that with, again, some modest shifts, but nothing that just blew me out of the water, or I felt like, oh wow, this is really, really helping me. So I had dabbled with it in the past, but this time it actually felt different. There was something different about this modality that really intrigued me. And one of the things was it was very easy to learn how to do on your own. So I started learning how to do it. I started practicing. And one day I had discovered within myself an inherited emotional energy from one of my ancestors. I believe it was sadness. It was an inherited trapped emotion of sadness. And when I released this sadness, I felt like instantly I had literally dropped like 20 pounds from my being. I felt such relief. I felt actual true joy just like coursing through my body, which I had not experienced at that point in maybe like 2 or 3 years. It had been 2 or 3 years since I had experienced like real, genuine happiness. And I was feeling it in that moment. And I was just floored. I said, holy cow, this is the real deal. This is the thing that I've been waiting for. And that's when I knew that this was going to be the solution for me, this specific energy healing modality. So I had been continuing to try to do it on myself. And I will tell you, like, if you are a practitioner of any sort of healing modality, you can only get so far trying to do it yourself. Because what I was doing is like, with this modality, we access the subconscious. And so if you're trying to access your own subconscious, it can be difficult because a lot of stuff you can't see. You may have certain blocks around something. You may not want to see something. So you can only get so far. So I had to decide to work with someone else who practiced this energy healing modality. And that was when I really started to see the shifts in my healing process. So really, if you want to have good results with any modality that you're doing, I highly recommend working with someone else. They can see things that you can't. They can get to deeper places than you would be able to get to on your own. So I started working with this practitioner. I worked with him for 12 weeks. So like 3 months of weekly energy healing sessions. And little by little, I started to feel the big shifts that I was looking to feel. I felt like finally I was getting to the root emotional issue with my trauma. And I experienced massive shifts. By the end of these 12 weeks, I actually felt like a completely different person. I was happy. I felt like I had just released a tremendous amount of emotional baggage that I'd been carrying around almost my whole life, years at that point. I was so much happier, and I felt like I had finally gotten to the root of my trauma in a way that the other modalities just hadn't done for me, including EMDR. Now, it wasn't like this was a cakewalk. When we're doing trauma work, it can be uncomfortable at times. So there were times where some of the emotions were coming up from those experiences, and it was difficult. So I'm not going to say like this was some miracle where all of a sudden you just wave a magic wand and everything was better. No, it wasn't like that. But it was helping me, again, get to the root of the traumatic emotional experiences and be able to release them. So even if a difficult emotion came up, once it was through, once it had processed out, I felt much better. I felt like I had really released something on a deep level. So I had such amazing results, and I was so passionate about this work that I decided to learn how to do it for real. And so I became certified back in 2018, and I've been doing this work since. I'm now a certified energy healer, and I use this modality as one of the ways that I help women to recover from toxic relationships, because it was so instrumental in my own healing process. And it has been over the years. I keep going back to it. To this day, I still use this modality to help myself to just move through difficult circumstances as they come up. My clients have experienced very similar transformations that I went through, including breaking free from trauma bonds, getting over their ex when they never thought it was possible, releasing things from the past that they've been carrying around for years, just like me, regaining their confidence, or for the first time, loving themselves in a way that they haven't been able to before, and getting into healthy, loving relationships for the first time ever. So this modality can really be a game changer for a lot of different people, especially if they've tried everything and things like EMDR just haven't been working for them. So if you've gone the EMDR route and it just hasn't been working for you, don't lose hope. You may just be like me, where this modality, for whatever reason, it just doesn't do it for you. But something like energy healing does. And I've thought about this for a while, and people have asked me, why doesn't EMDR work for some people? And why is energy healing such a breakthrough for others? And I truly don't know. I do believe it must just be that people like me, our brains are just wired a little bit differently, where it doesn't allow EMDR to go that deep for us, but other modalities it does. So again, the reason I'm making this video is to let you know that if EMDR or any other modality isn't working for you, again, you are not irreparably broken. There's another modality around the corner that could be the thing for you. I use this powerful energy healing modality as part of my one-on-one program. So if you're interested in learning more about my work, I'm going to leave the link to my website here in the description. You can check it out. If you're ready to break the cycle of toxic relationships and release anything that's holding you back from being open to that healthy love, check out my Living Free Finding Love program. Again, it'll be on the website in the description here. Or if you feel like you're just stuck on your ex and you're looking for help in moving forward and releasing any of the energies that are holding you back from letting that person go, then check out my Ex Detox program. My Ex Detox program is actually a really great way to try this modality out. If you just want to dip your toe into this healing modality, see if you like it, see if it works for you, that's a great option. If you'd like to learn more about my story and some of the lessons I've learned on my journey from toxic relationships to healthy relationships, click here. I have a video for you. And click here to subscribe. I come out with new videos each week. And also, if you want some daily content, follow me on Instagram at Living Free Finding Love.